guy riding. I watched a video by a guy named, or goes by the name of Rockstate Moto. He does reviews on motorcycles as well as any type of gear you can imagine that is associated with motorcycles. And the video I watched had to do with why most of us are wearing helmets that are too large for us. And during that video, he gives you a couple of tests to perform on your helmet. And I performed that test on all of my helmets. And sure enough, 3 of my helmets were a little bit too large for me. The Shoei RF1200, but the Shoei is about 3.5 to 4 years old. So I'm thinking maybe the cheek pads and the lining have compressed a little bit. So what I did with that is I got a new lining and I bumped up the cheek pads from the stock 35mm thickness to the 39mm thickness, and that made a lot of difference. So now when I put on the RF1200 and performed those 2 tests, I have no problem whatsoever with them passing with flying colors. The other 2 helmets, one was a Bell Qualifier DLX with MIPS, and the other was a Scorpion EXO R1 Air. I put both of those on the market, and I was fortunate that they both sold rather quickly. So I didn't take too much of a beating price-wise either. I had been taking a large helmet for as long as I can remember, and I always thought that they fit nice and snug, but apparently I was wrong. So I looked into getting other helmets. I looked at a few. I decided on 2 because I have a sport touring motorcycle. I decided on a sport touring helmet, and after doing research, the Shoei GT Air 2 came on the top of the list on almost every comparison that I looked at. So I got one of those. I got it in silver, size medium, and then I got this helmet here, which is the Shoei RF1200, also in a medium. When I first tried on both helmets, I thought they were going to be small. I really had a tough time getting them over my ears. But then I have ears that look like a car with both doors open. But once I got them over my ears, oh my goodness, it was like they formed to the contours of my head. Absolutely awesome. This helmet here is super quiet. Very aerodynamic. My peripheral vision is fantastic. It's a very, very nice visor. They've even widened the pin lock, so the pin lock pegs are out of sight. Of course, I don't go for the clear visor. I like dark smoke, so I went and got the dark smoke visor. The ventilation is good. I only have the very top vents open. I was able to get my Cardo PackTalk Edge Bluetooth system nicely installed. I wasn't even going to try that with the GT Air 2 because the GT Air 2 comes ready to have the Senna, I believe it's an SRL2 communication system installed. I didn't like that about the helmet. I think that the rider should have the choice to decide which communication he or she might want. So I will not have a communication system in the GT Air 2. I refuse to get the Senna. This helmet is light. It doesn't matter which way I turn my head. I'm getting no kind of turbulence whatsoever. I know they did some enhancements to the design of this helmet to make it a little bit better than the RF1200, and they've succeeded quite nicely. I would suggest to you that you watch the Rockstate Moto video concerning helmets being a bit too large for us. Perform the tests that he gives you to perform on your helmets, and then make a judgment as to what you want to do. With the RF1200, I was able to just bump up the padding, and that took care of that problem. With the other two helmets, I wasn't that lucky, so I had to put them on the market. Either way, there's a chance that you won't have to buy yourself a new helmet if it comes to the point that you are wearing a helmet that's too large. One of the differences in this helmet I've noticed is that the latch is dead center now, whereas my other Shoeis, it's on the left side here. Took a little getting used to. I had to adjust the way I put the camera on the helmet so I could get my finger down there. You have to depress below the latch and then lift up. But all in all, I like the idea. I've noticed with my Shoei RF1200 that after many years of use, just flicking that left side up and down has taken its toll on the right side, and the right side kind of gets stuck every now and again. So what I have to do sometimes, not always, is just give a little extra push on the right side of the top of the visor to make sure it shuts fully. No need to worry about that with the latch dead center, because it's going to get an even distribution. So I like that feature. Padding is absolutely excellent, and one of the reasons that I had such an issue getting it over my ears is that the padding pretty much comes straight down on either side. There's no little contour that takes it out a little bit like in the other Shoeis and other helmets, and that makes for a nice seal. It helps keep that air from coming down and up through the helmet. I of course use the chin curtain because I motovlog, and I want the least amount of air to circulate through the helmet. And I can tell you it works really wonderfully. Now I still get air in the helmet, but it's not a bad noise that I'm getting. But then again, I wear ear protection. If I didn't have my ear protection in, it might bother me a little bit more than what it does right now. But right now it's just a deadened noise. I have noticed with this helmet, with the latch being where it is, that I have to wear my camera a little bit lower. I like to try and get my camera up as high as to eye level as possible, so the viewers can pretty much put themselves inside my helmet and see what's going on. But with this particular latch, I can't do that, so I might even have to lower it a little bit more. I can still get a finger in there and work it, but sometimes it's a little bit of a pain.